Currently in Bahrain, there are no independent media or opposition parties that are legally allowed to operate. In 2018 alone, the court stripped 305 people of their citizenship. Many of these people are activists. The government has placed severe restrictions on foreign funding to NGOs. We've seen persecution of activists for engaging with the council. At the last Human Rights Council session in August, the Secretary General condemned the long-standing travel bans imposed on civil society for engaging with the council. Despite these restrictions, there's a severe lack of accountability nationally. The Bahrain Independent Commission Inquiry has not adequately investigated a range of human rights violations. So despite these challenges and despite the lack of accountability nationally, we continue to come to Bahrain to encourage the international community to address restrictions on civic space and other human rights abuses in Bahrain. For a more detailed description of the challenges, I'm going to move to Meiga to talk about the particular challenges faced by human rights defenders in Bahrain, particularly women human rights defenders, who since last year have faced increasing severity of persecution. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. So yes. So women have, as Tor just said, women have been targeted increasingly since 2017 by the Bahraini authorities. At present, the women's prison in Eastern Town hosts a number of political prisoners, of which some of the most high-profile cases are that of Haja Manzoor Hassan, Medina Ali, and Najah Yusuf. These three women endeavor to expose the abuses they face in prison on a regular basis. They are in regular communication with us, the Bahrain Institute for Rights and Democracy, BIRD, and we try and expose the abuses they face as and when we can. This bravery, however, has come at a price, as every recognition by international actors has led to various reprisals. I'd like to draw attention to an incident last September. Now, on the 11th of September, all three ladies' cases were raised at a debate held in the British Parliament. The next day, Haja specifically was mentioned in a report published by the UN Secretary General, which spoke of the reprisals facing human rights defenders that engage with the UN, namely her son-in-law, Sayed Ahmed Al-Wadai, who is BIRD's director. A few days following these events, on the 16th of September, prison officers, led by the head of the prison, Major Mariam Abadouli, reportedly physically assaulted Haja, Medina, and Najah, and after denying them their right to participate in a religious commemoration of the Ashura rites, even though other inmates were granted this right. They were placed in isolation for a few hours, eventually culminating in the hospitalization of Haja, who was unable to stand as a result of the incident. Since then, however, further measures have been implemented to punish the women for their action. For example, there has been a reduction in the number of weekly phone calls that the women are allowed to call their families or their legal representation, and also they are limited in the time that they are allowed to spend outside of their cell. Perhaps of greatest psychological harm, however, is the use of a physical barrier during family visitation. Haja, Medina, and Najah have all been refused their request for exceptional circumstances to remove the barrier during the visits with their family, even though other inmates have been granted that right on similar grounds. To protest these measures, the three ladies have not seen their families for 6 months. British parliamentarians, NGOs, and the UN Special Rapporteur offices have raised their concerns for these measures, but no changes have yet to be made by prison authorities. However, in the past, international attention has benefited women human rights defenders.